So will there be some counter planning in what they want to pick duelist wise, depending on what they feel like Puppy Thieves may want to run? I like the idea of running the double duelist though. Just give yourself some more presence. And no, not quite. It's just going to be the Rays. Very standard comp in a lot of ways for Puppy Thieves. The Vice is interesting though. And the Shopify Rebellion squad will stick with the Neon instead of the Waylay, kind of what they ran previously in last week's game.
I feel like when I look at that Puppy Thieves composition right now, I'm just thinking stall potential on defense. Like, this is an annoying comp to have to deal with when it comes down to the amount of sheer utility that you can use to break up any of those executions that you want to see, or trap plays even from the side of Shopify Rebellion Gold when they are trying to, break into these sites. You've got Scary Shark with the paranoia, you've got Terror having that Viper utility to slow things down on top of the Vice util having to be dealt with early on as well. Just a lot of utility when it comes down to that stall and even reactivity for whatever it is that SRB are going to be doing. But I think that it's kind of a give and take in this scenario shift, because we know that SRG likes to play that more kind of defaulty style, right? Where if they are looking to contact up to a lot of these lanes, it will make it a bit more awkward for Puppy Thieves to maybe react in certain ways, because a lot of that trap play game plan does rely on having information on that presence that's going to be available there, and that's a lot of pressure, I think, on Miara to be able to get that information here for the side of play.
I like that, and I think that's going to be something that SRG will have to try to hold on to. But already in this pistol, looking for some aggression, little combo with the paint shells, and it's going to work out absolutely perfectly. And a little bit of information, that was your spike carrier. So you want to talk about early pressure into Shopify, you lose your Sky, and Scary Shark's going to take away space over towards the backside of B main. I love this. WOOF are just not coming out passive whatsoever, and it's going to pay out for them to an early 4v3.
Yeah, I think it's a cool strat to be calling here on the pistol round, because SRG, probably looking at this composition, they're like, okay, despite the go brawly playstyle that WOOF likes to play, you expect them to, be sitting back a little bit more, and it's just not the case whatsoever.
Terror gave themselves an opportunity to get some ghost shots off, but bouncing through tower, was Dodonut. Ooh, Oriental will also read that there was some early pressure. The Boombot queued up early. Haunt will be denied. That early elimination gets us to a quick 3v3. And wow, SRG are just going to run a little bit of a snowball here. Arc Rose doesn't really affect too much. Spam shots, but off the reload. St. Claus, that's just not well timed. Now it's just on to Oriental. First one's clean. Paint shells re-earned. Up and over. Not going to get deep enough, but it does push SRG around the pillar just a little bit. Dodonut could just keep throwing shoulders for literally ever here if they want to.
I diffuse things in my sleep.
Yep, that's the problem. There's a couple of shots from Noya, and Dodonut will just stand tall this time. Find the bounce back. So into 3v4 for the early pressure from Puppy Thieves, SRG still provide.
And that's the thing with SRG, they're this team where anytime they're down in numbers, with the synergy that they've built up with each other over time, the protocoling that they have, there's always a possibility for them to come back into these rounds. I think there was a great idea out from WOOF when it came down to that initial set play over in mid, the wombo combo between that C's and Nade, but now SRG, they are going to be running into 4 players here. Who's going to come out on top?
Paranoia early over towards A-Main. Are covered to replace behind the slow orb. That is a lot of utility dumped onto the choke point. Scary Shark's going to see if maybe they can bait out a peek, but not going to happen with the orb, so we'll just grab it, back up. And SRG, as soon as this dark cover expires, may think about re-hitting the wall and making a play.
It was such a good call also for, I believe that was Noya throughout that snake bite, right? Just to deny that first push with that paranoia over from A main, the reaction to try and deny the reactive flood from the attacking side, but just great awareness from SRG to anticipate that aggression.
Fast lane out. Paint shells blocking. Dodonut taking a lot of damage and will eventually call Scary Shark, who is stuck on the reload. Oriental there for the trade, so we'll get to a 3v3. Site wide open, though. And that will mean a plant is going to be in the mix in the back side of the site, so it definitely feels like SRG is going to play to bunker up on the site, play through elbow here.
Yeah, we're looking to see if anyone's gonna kind of push the limit a little bit when it comes down to the space that they might look to take instead. More than happy to bunker on site like you had been mentioning. Up close with the judge here from Noya, it's gonna be so hard to get out from CT.
The more you push, the more likely it is to give away weapons, and that is about as clean as a judge play can get. Noya for the last 3 has Shopify up 2-0. Bonus on the way.
Credit to Puppy Thieves though, they definitely have to be happy with the fact that they at least got trades on that A site. You know, the 1-for-1s at minimum. When you had 2 players there, sure, they would have liked to have a bit more damage done, but in moments like that, when you have 5 players running onto that A site, you might not even expect to be able to, you know, knock one player down with how that execution was happening. 4-1 split here for SRG. You've got Sarah outside of B, waiting to see if that aggression will come through. WOOF have been known for these walk-down scenarios here on defense. Try and get a bit of that information. Now looking to regroup with the team.
Well, stack will lead to a burst. Waller's going to come through. Fast lane already up. Scary Shark will take cover behind the Paranoia, and a really good haunt behind that. Miara's able to get the first. And SRG, like you talked about, stalled by all this utility. Scary Shark still able to hold with now help on the way through tower side. Oriental pops out for 1, and Lydia can only do so much. So that is an early example, like you're talking about. Can you just stall out the hit, put him into a bad choke point, and then feast afterwards? And the answer in that round was absolutely yes.
Yeah, as the condition there for SRG to WOOF, we're expecting that push over towards the A side. I think felt very confident in the fact that they haven't really wanted to deal with St. Claus utility on that device over at B whatsoever. And the trap play was just coming through really nicely there. A perfect util with the Paranoia and that hunt like you had called out. Now trying to deny this early peek with the slow, so Lydia can get that TP on over.
Claus. Really good on the chamber in map number 1. Just gonna keep spraying after the second orb tap comes through, and that will connect on to Sarah. Lydia will cue the wall, teleport back. Ooh, another sense of aggression being slain on the other side of the map. So yeah, I like this from Puppy Thieves. Just kind of keeping SRG uncomfortable on both sides of the map here.
Yeah, it's that push and pull that we really got to see in, I think, like a couple rounds into Haven in that first half of the last matchup that we just saw.
Terror. Not good for that one. So Dodo will keep the pressure on to B tower. But no one checks Scary over the middle, but doesn't make a difference. Lex is still able to find one. Now that's how can you find Claws inside the site. Good first. Shoulder comes through, forcing Alexis into a weird spot, but takes the win. Now to a 1v1 situation with Miara. Late to rotate one from Alexis. And the Red Bull clutch comes through. SRG take away a huge round.
That was disgusting. I don't know what it's been. Alexis has always been a great player, but it feels like this year she's hit, like she's broken through her ceiling. Like to be playing at this level, to have the responsibility of IGLing there as well. She's been so cold in those clutch scenarios when it comes down to getting those multi-kills. Now, Seeker's online here for SRG on top of that in a round where it really did not feel like SRG were going to be walking away with.
No, it did not. Well, still enough purchase here for Puppy Thieves to buy. Showstopper at the ready. We're looking for some aggression. Great slow orb. And the flash to make sure that there's no damage dealt. Although B main has been collected, so Puppy Thieves will have to use that defensively. They're going to stay here and keep a stack up. They want a little bit more. And the Trailblazer will read that Miara was there for the orb. Everything else will start to make its way over towards A ramps.
Yeah, they're trying to pull out as much as utility as possible, and it's also that signal with how aggressively they're fighting for B main that St. Claus is going to be on this side of the map. You see the solo contact play to see if they can search out where that wall is. Noya is going to hear that 4 ramps, the vines to slow this A main push.
Thorns down. Flashing.
Well, one of the vines will be deleted. Roy is coming through, but Lydia will still find the first. Barrier orb reinforces, but still is deleted by Miara. Secret's gonna make sure that the post plant gets set up in the right spot. And yeah, I like this. A little bit more of a heavy stack here for SRG over towards ramp side with two of the Seekers going that direction. So it's gonna force the drop down into the site for Shopify. They really don't have, or for WOOF, they really don't have much to break into the site right now. Double scene over towards screens. Last guiding light comes through. And that flash connects. Dodo finds an easy one. The follow-up is perfect. Absolutely beautifully done by Shopify.
It was just so great. I mean, starting that round out as well by trying to force out and successfully doing so when it came down to the showstopper out from Zoriental. That would have been a key piece of utility. That ultimate could have done wonders to break back into that post plant, and it was just so measured, the plan from SRG for their win conditions into this round from beginning to end.
Now we're on the save for Puppy Thieves. Shopify have a chance to really take control here in this first half. Still have a res, still have a Viper's Pit, gonna have an overdrive most likely. And we're just not wasting time here for Shopify. Just a quick hit up towards A ramps behind the Trailblazer. Give them tower control and scout out the front of the site. That is a huge value, Trailblazer. So now you flash a little bit deeper towards Elbow.
Go, go, go.
Fines are up. Scary Shark trying to teleport over to help. Honestly, there's so much you can do here, and that's, yeah, Dodo Nut knows exactly where you're at.
Great utility for those clears there as well. The blind, I believe, did connect with that Paranoia. With his Raptors position here for Lydia, she's going to get that deeper peek into A for the information. Scary Shark off as well. And it just becomes impossible for her to do anything.
Yeah.
One pick at the very least, but nothing more. SRG 5-1 to kick off their map.
This has been pretty stellar. Razorvine, Steel Garden rather, I should say, at the availability of St. Claus. Miara also has the Nightfall Operator in play for Scary Shark, so a new tool is added to the arsenal for the defense. Shopify have just as much of a bank account that you could possibly want to work with. They might try to actually kind of get some dominance over towards B main for one of the first times here. And they're going to teleport into it. Vice wall in play nearby. Scary Shark is going to keep the op over towards A. So again, some pressure on the outsides of the map. The Razorvine is still alive, not being spammed out. It's the defensive setup on B pretty healthy.
Yeah, a bit deeper than Lydia is expecting there. I like the default setup that SRG opt for into this round here as well, kind of expecting that Puppy Thieves were going to change up their setup, maybe shift St. Claus back over towards that B site. It does become really awkward, I think, for the Vice at A, because once those Razor Vines go down, you only have the wall watching over towards ramps. It's a lot of space that you're giving up to be holding ramps like in such a passive manner. With the operator on the Omen here for Scary Shark, this first pick is a difference maker to be taking Dodo Nut down. A great Paranoia to slow down this push.
Hit still on the way. Op out first. Nice shot from Scary Shark. Plus the help from Oriental. Resurrection on the Dodo Nut, though, is free. So we'll be to the now 3v5. Make it 3v4. Good clean one from Noya up top at tower. Claws will make sure there's not an immediate threat at window. Down to the last 30. Spike on the ground in front of the site. Noya is going to try to block out the rotation. Doesn't need to come through, though, because everything you want for Puppy Thieves is still in play. When Scary Shark hits their third. Overdrive would have to clean up the rest of the site for the 1v2. Not a lot of time to do that. We're running out of charge. So now it's just down the rifle and Scary Shark up close and personal. Nice shots. So the op is purchased into as a new tool. And boy, does it get to work. Puppy Thieves get their second.
And this is going to have to change the plan here for SRG now, right? They've been going for those slow default rounds here and there. Sure, we've seen a couple of those hard A executions as well, but you can't afford to be slow contacted with a potential op waiting on the other side, right? So that's why we see a bit of a shift. They're expecting that operator to be towards that A side. They want to try and see if they can hit into the B site something that we haven't really seen them explore aside from the initial poking and prodding. While Noya still goes for that lurk on the other side of the map, trying to maintain that space and information in case things start to go wrong here at B.
This would be a critical round to follow up on if you're Puppy Thieves. Flash out, fast lane through. Paint Shells is going to be late. Oriental has to commit to being on the site. A little bit of help, but not a lot. Big flash. Still going too. Oh my goodness, that is more than enough if you're Oriental. Problem was Terror up top couldn't give you a third, so we'll be at 3v3. Viper's Pit could be a part of this post plant.
Snakebite to try and deny the flood back in from heaven. Nora goes for a bit of information seeking. These haunts have constantly been connected from now.
Does stall out the plant. Defense is here now. Scary Shark still sniping. Or cover to block off top tower. Lydia will allow the tethers to still stay stuck. Ooh, the Steel Garden. What are we talking about with that drop in from Scary Shark? Now St. Claus. Other side of the site, Alexis, the only one who was affected by the Steel Garden, is the last one left. Razorvine in the way. The steepest of high lows right now between Miara. Oh, but the flash, I thought initially it was going to be enough, but Miara still finds the win. And a huge back-to-back set of rounds from Puppy D.
Yeah, really nicely done looking away. I like the idea there from SRG. They were trying to bait out that Steel Garden, but Puppy Thieves, they were so aware of it. They knew that they were looking to try and bait it, try and fake that plant, force it out and see if they could, refight into it, getting out of that ultimate in time. But instead, that patience, running down the clock, understanding that SRG weren't going to initiate that spike just yet. Showstopper back online here for Zoriental. Scary Shark will have the deep B line here as well, paired with the Viper's Pit in mid. It leaves SRG with fewer options, and looks like they're actually going to walk in here.
Oh, messy inside of Mail. Toto catches one with Terror. Responds with the Bucky, almost getting 3. Alexis with the last second shutdown will come off of the decay. We'll be in a 3v3. Flash coming through Scary Shark. Trying to keep the hot hand, and it will stay hot. Not going to get the follow-up. Trying to teleport away. And it's able to get to an angle that is, just barely safe of Lydia. Paranoia does affect Noya in the corner. Opportunity to push around this. Lydia's going to find the first. Miara dancing with Pillar, able to find the one. Now it's down just to Noya and Scary Shark. What was that? 6 scope shots out of Scary Shark, it feels like, in the last couple of rounds. And all of a sudden, Puppy Thieves have rode that power weapon into a 1-round game.
Yeah, Scary Shark has been an absolute difference maker here for Puppy Thieves. 12-6 right now. The Omen on the operator. Something that isn't it's not something that we haven't seen before, but it's something that you don't get to see very often. But the Omen, the fact that you have those shrouded steps, even though it is a lot less common to see, it does offer that opportunity for a lot of these cheeky repositions that help Scary Shark stay alive in some of these key moments.
All right. Big round here. Weapons in hand for Shopify. Ready. Scary Shark holding a close corner on B main. Obviously, you're expecting Lydia to be nearby. Boombot deleted. And teleporting away to safety will be lit. A little bit of a play over towards mid. We haven't seen this yet from Shopify. Getting in towards ropes. That'll put the A defense on a different level of alert as the healing will come through, and Oriental will have to hang out. Whoa! Showstopper gut check call is beautifully read. Generally 4v4.
Get out of here.
What? Oh.
Just isolating these 1v1s. Alexis taking so much damage and now looking to regroup with Noya, who's constantly keeping this A control, some of that A space. Look at how comfortably and happily Puppy Thieves are to just stay bunkered backside. 30 seconds on the clock.
30 seconds
Time's
left.
definitely going to be ticking. There's still a lot of stall available here since that wall hasn't been dealt with, and neither have these vines.
Yeah, and I don't think you expect Miara to be on site either. On right to ready. Way up high, plus the flash. Plus the flank. Lydia, last one left. catches one, but no time to collect and get into a position. And that will mean that we're tied at 5.
Since the operators come out, it's spelled a lot of trouble for SRG. I think they've been putting good ideas out for trying to, you know, isolate Scary Shark or work their way around it, especially poking into mid, putting a bit more of that pressure so that Scary Shark cannot hold that B line or A line that much more comfortably, because they get that mid pick. It leaves one of those holes to work with there. But now SRG, they are going to be calling a timeout here. Googly going to have something to say with the team. I think maybe a conversation of how they want to be handling, you know, the space that they're taking, right? I think the mid control has worked out really nicely for SRG, but the spacing hasn't always been there at times. I think in that last round, we saw the isolation of a couple of those 1v1s and just not really having that close enough spacing where the follow-up that should have come through was able to happen.
I like the calm. But it feels like there's just a lot of layers right now for Puppy Thieves that are working out. So it's almost hard to say, is it purely we get this part of the map, how do we use it? Or is it, you know, how do we get to that second and third layer? That's also an issue for us right now. It just feels like everything's really come to life after Scary Shark has picked up this operator. I mean, really, that's it. I mean, they pick it up in round 7, and it's been 4 rounds in a row. So,
yeah,
it's been a beautiful decision. And now you're going to get a little bit of a battle here. Do this again. Shopify doing their own Haven strategy. Let's just flood something, but once again, early counter. The op is going to connect onto Alexis. That's your intel gatherer gone. And this is such a hard round to determine what you're going to do if you're Shopify from here on out.
And with Alexis down, it becomes even more difficult. You talk about intel gatherer, but also the only player with utility that's really going to be able to deal with that op anyways.
Well, here we go. Smoke about to fade. The other one replaces that mid. Oriental head on a swivel. Now focusing on the front, and Scary Shark hits again. One terrifying Shark. Good trigger discipline from Oriental. Put the round to bed. How about this stretch from Puppy Thieves? 6 to 5. That one flawlessly. And we may very well end another 7-5 half here. Shopify is going to be on regenerative shields and some guardians.
Flash placed.
Yeah, it's looking kind of tough here for SRG, especially just with how comfortable Puppy Thieves have looked with that operator online. You also have to give credit not just to, you know, how much work Scary Shark is putting in with that operator, but also the fact that St. Claus is constantly rotating around the map, changing where that setup is going to be landing, and making it that much more difficult for SRG to not only kind of sniff out where that operator is playing, but to claim any of this space kind of earlier on into the round. Oh, timing!
Wow. Excuse me.
8 HP. Man, it could have really gone either way there. Seekers are available here. You also have Resurrection for Sarah, so Lydia could be brought back into this round. Definitely won't be anytime soon with how dangerous that res spot is at the moment.
Yeah.
Look at this stack shift. Like 4 players leaning over towards the B side of the map simply because Scary Shark is currently uncontested with the A line.
And you also know that, again, like you mentioned, the target for the resurrection's on this side of the map as well. So you figure that there's going to be some sort of a play towards B to try to get that extra member up. 35 on the clock. Time to go. And that is all you need to know. There it is. Wall's going to come through. It's going to be a solo mission for a minute for Dodo Nut. Able to get to the back side of the site. I believe Claws saw that. Seekers are now out. Sarah's able to find one towards top tower and a second inside the site. Wow. Alexis follows up. So who says something about Guardians not being efficient for SRG? Definitely wasn't me. 5v1 situation, and Scary Shark has to resort to a Phantom.
Yeah, you're looking for heroics here. If things really go wrong, Noya also has that Viper's Pit if she really wants to use it there as well, but 1v5, it's looking like a 6-6 half.
Wow. That is about as good as it gets in terms of response from Shopify. 6-6 the half.
Switching sides.
Now, we mentioned Shopify on the offensive side had been really, really good. So the fact that Puppy Thieves hold them to 6 is actually a huge success story considering the start.
Oh, certainly. It's been a game of momentum, that's for sure. You know, having a 5-1 start like you were talking about there. And then 5 rounds in a row there for Puppy Thieves as well. But a great recovery to get that final round there from SRG. Now on defense, you've got Sarah on the Sage. She will be leaning over towards that A site to start things off. Kind of curious to see if the plan is going to be going for, you know, just the initial barrier orb to cut off that main space early on, slow things down here for WOOF.
Wall raised.
A lot of shots, but no action behind that barrier orb. And Shopify will refuel it out with the Trailblazer.
Scout
Paint Shells,
destroyed.
Prowler. It's pretty much enough information to know that there's plenty of players here. So yeah, now we ingest that space with the dark cover. Poison Cloud to respond, so it keeps Shopify in the dark. And Puppy Thieves are going to re-rotate through sewer. And likely have to hit up through mid here.
Yeah, good awareness to fall back there on the side of SRG. I like the poke back into mid. The thing is, though, DodoNut still has that relay bolt to play with here, so if they do hit into mail, there's still a lot of good utility here for stall.
DodoNut will give a ping back up to the corner for safety. That's enough info to commit that, yep, this is a B hit. Relay bolt out towards ropes. Alexis doesn't see much. Long range shots decent from Roy, but not good enough. Now it's down to Alexis in behind 2. Nice little snap over. DodoNut's right there for the crossfire. And it's now on to just Miara. Sarah in the dark cover. Falls onto ropes. And hey, how are you? A couple of players taking a shot, and Shopify take the pistol.
Really nicely done there with the trap slayed there by DodoNut, and the follow-up from the rest of the team. I think it was good bait from Noya too. She wasn't able, she got a bit of damage done, not able to get, you know, the pick that she probably would have wanted from that kind of like B main-ish position on the box, but it also left it open for Alexis to kind of play that bait angle into hell. Not really expecting her to be there, all things considered, with the aggro peek that we saw from her teammate. Both pistol rounds to be picked up here by SRG. Got the Outlaw online. 5 players on the side of WOOF over towards this A side. Sprays through the smoke. We're just gonna reign supreme.
That's really tough. Oh, nice shot from Dodo. Right as soon as Puppy Thieves were about to try to break through a tower, and yep, that's right. Flawless is the name of the round. 8-6 to Shopify. Great response and reaction to the A play.
Let's leave whatever happened in the past.
I think now what's going to be interesting to me is this is a very different composition from what we saw in Haven, right, Shift? On the side of Puppy Thieves, the Haven comp was something where they wanted to play that very go playstyle, but running the double controller with the Vice doesn't really afford you that same kind of tempo to be able to follow up on. So it's a bit of a change of pace here from Puppy Thieves. I say that, but at the same time, this is a team where with these members, you could definitely see them still trying to make that high octane gameplay work out. But kind of curious to see what that approach is going to be, if they will still lean into that kind of play style, or if they will have that shift in tempo. And so far, it does seem like a bit of an adjustment has been made. Granted, it is the bonus, though, of SRG.
That's exactly right. Well, Show of Force at B main had the Paranoid queued up, but it wasn't sent. So, what comes next? And it looks like it may come to Noya's direction, where this judge would be game determining. Unless WOOF decide they want to try to play through ropes, or vents rather, but looks like they're going to go Noya's direction. Paint shells in the corner. Noya has to try to pull. Steps up, but that's a really, really good paint shells. Good first blood. Puppy Thieves now on their way to B.
He's about to get collapsed on.
Whoop, nowhere to go.
30
and then the
seconds
reload
left.
timing was miserable. So Sarah up top behind the play. One player lurking, but I think they think it's clear. And yeah, St. Claus will eventually confirm the trade. And the long lurk from Terror should put this round out of question. Crossfire set up at the front. Terror in the back.
One enemy remaining.
Nowhere to go. Clean. Absolutely perfectly clean. Bonus shut down. Back to a 1-round game.
I like what I'm seeing right now out of WOOF. I'm curious to see if this is going to be the same playstyle that we witness as the map kind of continues to develop here in the second half. Zoriental, I think we haven't really been able to give her as much praise as deserved. Like looking at her at 17 and 13, top of the scoreboard right now, because the Omen operator was definitely stealing the show on the defensive side there. But you gave a big shout out to the utility usage here from the Raze player, being so good at clearing out a lot of these angles on SRG. And I think there's a lot of pressure on Zoriental as well, you know, being that solo duelist, you know, on a Raze in particular, in this meta and how the game is kind of played right now on Split, is one of the less forgiving duelists that you can tend to pick up. And the fact that she's able to, you know, frag out right now and find those results she's looking for is definitely not.
Yeah, it's exactly the case. Paint shells combined with the snake bite. Has Puppy Thieves making their way on towards A. Still clear off elbow. And Sarah's at least able to get one. Shots from Alexis. As Terror in trouble. Seekers earned off of that will be sent to the site. Dodo not looking to go quickly. Trailblazer to confirm the space. And now we're just waiting for the time to go. Paranoia comes first. There's the relay ball. Other side of the recover. Really well done by Dodo Nut. What a fun POV that is. What a fun POV that is.
It's
Beautiful retake.
It really was. Never a dull day in the office when you get to watch Dodo Nut on the Neon. She's just always sliding on two people, getting a 2K somehow, whipping out that Phantom, and having the spray control to be able to solidify those kills. Again, such an incredible player to get the chance to witness in the server, especially when you have your IGL in Alexis just being so good at setting her up on top of that to have these opportunities for her to shine. Miara does have that Nightfall available now on the side of Puppy Thieves. Looks like it's going to be a bit of a 4-1 split as Terror maintains that space outside of the A site. Might just be a straightforward hit.
Well, there's an idea of it. Dark cover disrespected to start. Nightfall cuts across the site. Dark cover replaces that B main. Nice shots. A little bit of damage going to come through. Lydia is in trouble, but the overdrive is already out. Trying to hold this backside pillar. Not going to work out, but Lydia does find two. Back side of the site. Claws in to find Alexis. Sarah commits to interior designing this B site. And no, cannot find an opportunity to clutch up what would have been a 1v3. So quick gut check call as called by you, Ash. And we're back to 1-round game.
I like the change in tempo there. They did that conditioning of having some of those slower round starts when we kicked off the attacking side here for WOOF, and they swapped things up once they have that Nightfall in their kit, knowing that they had so much space and information that they could clear out on that side of the map, especially with the awareness that Sarah's been playing over at A, and there isn't really as much of that stall when you have Dodo Nut still trying to hold B Heaven by herself. Now into this round, we've got Showstopper back in the hands of Zoriental. Like, they've constantly been connecting in the previous half, so definitely could be a huge difference maker here into this round to find some sort of opening pick here. But again, might not even be something that would come to fruition because they are aware of the fact that SRG are on an eco.
Well, flash through. SRG trying to take some space at B main. They'll get it. Secondary flash. Putting Scary Shark on notice. Oh, and Sarah's just sitting there. Unexpectedly. Slow orb comes through. Defense rotating quickly. Paint shells just raining onto the site. Sarah will be replaced. Showstopper. Oh! By the Bucky! No chance this is happening! Yara's stuck in the corner. Does well to catch two, but is that enough? 1v3, weapons collected for everyone but Lydia. First shot's good for Scary Shark, but Noya punches it through the finish line for a thrifty in the 10th round for Shopify.
That was disgusting. Like, it's crazy how for Shopify Rebellion Gold, I feel like this is a team where Typically, when you think of them, you think of like this very measured, very synergized kind of gameplay coming out from them. And it was definitely synergized in that last round, but we don't often get to see some of those insanely scrappier kind of moments from them with their kind of play style. And it works out so well with that collapse onto site. Very beautiful here from Shopify Rebellion.
And then once again, I feel like I'm just repeating myself from Haven. The sense of urgency as we get later into the map starts to be really heightened. It feels like Puppy Thieves are kind of digging deep here in their playbook. Everything seems like it's getting a little bit more simplified towards let's stack, let's hit. See if we can catch Shopify off guard. Paranoia cuts over towards A tower. Flash to counter. And Shopify are staying sturdy in their defensive set.
Playing that death ball approach here. This is definitely still a doable round though for the side of Puppy Thieves. They do have the Steel Garden available to try and take those weapons out of the hands of SRG, force them onto pistols as well, even that playing ground a little bit. Going to be a bit more of that mid exploration. Miara with the Prowler is likely to see if any utility, any information can be sought out and potentially pull some rotations away from A here as well, while the rest of the team maintains that A lock.
I'll find you. 30 seconds left.
Miara, a couple of shots towards B. As the defense spreads a touch with that little kill noise, create doubt moment. So free entry. Alexis still holding the corner. Shoulder seam. Good damage out. Alexis gets cornered. Really good Razor Vines right there to help that plant get set up. Shopify have been great on their retakes, and they do it once again. Steel Garden going to come through to make life really difficult here. And that is enough to likely cause Shopify. They will still have weapons up. Sarah gets one. Paranoid just a little bit too late. Oriental was not even affected by it. So now it's just down to Noid. Not going to happen. And a Thrifty in response. As I said, a one-round game. Huge for Puppy Thieves.
Yeah, it was a beautiful Thrifty to come in there as well. You shouted out the Razor Vine, just denying that flood back into sight there from CT, leaving Alexis alone, an island there into elbow, no help to be found. And with how back and forth the second half has been shift, any one of these rounds has that potential of kind of breaking the economy, forcing them into an eco or some sort of half-buy. We will have a hero rifle into the hands of Dodo Nut for this upcoming round here on the side of SRG. Inside of WOOF, though, they're definitely comfortable when it comes down to their purchase into this round with a full buy coming through with the round win. Now, Lydia stuck into the corner, forced to Shrouded step out.
Well, the utility dump is looking like it's about to ensue onto B. Defensive dark cover stalls things a touch. This Vice Wall gives you every intention this is going to be a B finish. Just comes down to when. And Sarah is getting greedy, and it's going to pay out massively. What are we talking about with Sarah in these opening shots? Shotgun play. Lydia able to try to hold down this front door. Teleports to safety. Little stack at the backside of the site. Lydia now the other side. Dark cover once again. Stalling out the hit. And rotating back does not feel good. So you have to do this desperately if you're WOOF.
Yeah, 35 seconds on the clock. They have to make a decision on where they want to hit. Instead, with that B main presence still being held by two
30
members,
seconds
it's
left.
a crunch into the B site. They're faking it. SRG biting on the bait and rotating all the way towards that A site.
So there's the plant. Retake with a shotgun. One rifle and two pistols is what's now required for SRG.
Oh, this timing.
It could be immaculate. Oh my gosh, another barrel seen, another free weapon collected. Now this becomes extremely plausible. No ultimates to try to hold this post plant. Snake Bite goes towards the back of the site. Arc Rose affects a couple of players, but then it's deleted. Oh, but Oriental just doesn't even get looked at the top side of the site. Lydia set up as the push from Dodo Nut comes through. On the corner, though. Puppy Thieves able to get themselves in a position. Paint shells, softballed, and Oriental clutches up. We're tied at 10.
Really nicely done there by Puppy Thieves. That great recovery when that round was starting to swing into the favor of SRG. It got so close, right down to the wire. Came down to some of those hero rifles that got picked up. But man, Zoriental has been so consistent throughout this series. We got the showstopper back online. I feel like it was just up only a couple of rounds ago. So farming into that very quickly here for the Raze player. SRG, they do have a resurrection to work with. Dodonut finally has that operator online into this round here as well.
Screen down.
Nice shot from Dodo. Terror just looking to put some problems over towards A, but the Nightfall's earned. Over towards the B site. A little bit of friendly fire with that Noya coming through. And Noya keeps Mail safe. What an important 2 picks that is for Shopify. Shuts down the potential of a flank. So yes, you get this site, but you spend everything if you're Puppy Thieves. And now it's Shopify's turn. Here comes the hit. You're gonna check out the backside of the site first. You see one. Flash coming through quickly. Oriental inside the fast lane. Good for 2 somehow. That's an important one. So now to the 2v3. Oriental down low. Shots come out. Can Oriental do it all themselves? Not quite. Shopify will get to 11.
Yeah, it would have had to have been an ace there for Zoriental to be able to get that round here for WOOF, but the impact from the Raze is still so palpable. SRG, though, the fast flood back in, really nicely done. That Neon Op coming online here for Dodonut as well just made it that much more comfortable. Very similar to what we saw on the defensive side there from WOOF when they had, you know, Nora set up along a deeper line over towards that A site, making it that much more feasible for the rest of the team to get that rotation over a little bit earlier so they could go for that fast flood. Timeout to be called for the first time here by Puppy Thieves. Bit of a conversation that they want to have. It's been a bit more back and forth into this half once again, but we cannot forget the qualification game into playoffs for that first slot into playoffs at that here is riding on this map, and for WOOF, they want to take it to a map 3.
Yeah, 100% they do. I mean, again, just thinking of their pathway, you have an early matchup versus Wadadaa, who I think is still, at that point, was lingering in our minds as a obvious formidable contender, if not top 2 team and game changers. You take them down in 3, the third map being immensely convincing, and everyone starts to kind of wonder, like, ooh, could this happen? So far, the answer has been, I won't say significantly no, but Shopify have definitely stepped up when they needed to most and given themselves the edge. So can you force that extra consideration by getting us to 3? Important around here to try to do that.
Move.
Breeze would definitely be so fun to watch between these two teams. We can't get too far ahead of ourselves. SRG, we have a Viper's pit available. We'll be laying out into mid here for Noya with that judge. Great slow to stall this fast take that WOOF was trying to have their eyes on.
Oh, man.
Spray through the smoke there from Lid.
Yeah, that's so tough. And with the Viper's pit congesting middle, it almost feels like you kind of have to force this at a certain point, but an opening pick stalls things out. Convincing, that's your entry player in Oriental down. How do you actually break into sight is the question.
You just got to slow things down, but you also only have, you know, a minute on the clock now. You're trying to hope that SRB won't make a bit of a mistake and overshoot. It will be Lydia who's finished, but Dodonut very quick with the trade.
Healing.
Gonna get a little bit of healing as well. 4v3. And this is one of those moments where you can try to kill noise as much as you want, but I think all Shopify are aware that this is going to be a B hit. So there's the poison cloud. That will get them in at least a little bit. Sarah's going to make sure no one pokes
30
through.
seconds left.
Aunt deleted before it can reveal anything. This is the first shot. Overdrive out. Places up a couple, looking for all 3, just running and gunning, but Noya beats him to the punch, and Shopify are a match point.
2 rounds only there for WOOF, though, to try and take it to an overtime, try to push it to that 3rd map. But you take a look at the buy, how important that last round was there for Puppy Thieves to try and find a result on. Big reason why we saw that timeout being taken as well. They knew that their economy was going to be in a really awkward spot, and they needed that extra bit of cushion at the very least. they can get onto site, fight! Even with these SMGs, and at least they have that Viper's Pit that they would rely on, but it really matters on, it really relies on whether or not they are going to be able to get into that position in the first place.
Well, pressure out. Lydia has to back off. The main control established, at least for the time being. To the side of Puppy Thieves, who will avoid being seen by guiding light through A. So it looks like they're going to say, okay, no info there. Let's see if we can kind of keep SRG leaning B. Maybe crack the code on an early breakthrough at A.
Yeah, the thing is, Dodonut's still here with the operator, right? She's playing a lot more passive because she knows that there's, you know, the possibility of them just trying to kind of burst execute onto her.
Well, behind screens is where Alexis will be. And how patient is Alexis? Able to find one. Trade is coming through. Donut. Yeah, perfectly held. Sarah spamming through the smoke. Viper's Pit will be all that Terror has to work with. Try to extend this map in a 1v4 situation. And SRG have no urgency
30 seconds left.
in trying to clear this. And wow, they're just gonna let the pit fall. Firing range open for one. Paranoia connects, trying to hold on the trigger. Not gonna happen. It's Dodo not through the screens. And SRG 13-8, 13-10, 2-0. The quote-unquote new contenders. And will be the first team to qualify here in North American Game Changers.